Welcome to this week's Movie Math, giving you an in-depth analysis of the box office for the weekend of September 9th. Obviously, with the 10-year anniversary of September 11th, people didn't much feel like going to the movies, resulting in the lowest box office weekend of the year. But on that note, perhaps this was the perfect time for Contagion to hit theaters, depicting not just the United States, but the entire world going through a horrifying crisis. The film opened at number 1 with $23 million, making it Steven Soderbergh's biggest non-Ocean Something debut since Aaron Brockovich. But while Soderbergh's cavalcade of coughing stars and Warner Brothers' slick marketing campaign convinced moviegoers this was a mainstream film, that tactic might have backfired. Audiences here on BTT were disappointed the film didn't have more action, while CinemaScore audiences gave the film a B-. Therefore, I wouldn't bet on Contagion being, well, contagious. Look for the film to most likely drop significantly next weekend. Nevertheless, it still managed to do some damage as The Help suffered its biggest drop yet, 40%. That begs the question of whether or not the film held onto the number 1 spot for most of August because it had buzz, or simply no competition. Then there was Warrior, debuting in 3rd place with $5.6 million, ironically the amount offered in the film's fictional competition, Sparta. While this might be a lot of money for an individual, that is not the case for a movie. But this low open is not a total surprise, as the film features 2 up-and-comers who are definitely hot in Hollywood, but not hot enough yet to carry a movie on their own. Will Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton ever reach that point? Both men have very high-profile picks on the horizon, Hardy with The Dark Knight Rises and Edgerton with Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby, yet neither of them star in those projects. And perhaps that's the answer. Perhaps these men are great supporting actors. But they'd better make up their mind, because a few more box office flops like this, and they'll be branded box office poison actors. As for the rest of the box office, everyone was hemorrhaging moviegoers. The debt fell 50% from its opening weekend, and that was one of the lowest drops. The highest was Apollo 18, which fell 66%. On the bright side, though, all of these films were cheap to make, reminding Hollywood that sometimes nothing ventured leads to nothing gained. But perhaps the worst performance of the weekend was Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star, which opened at number 15 with $1.4 million. I'd say the film was humiliated at the box office, but quite frankly, who wasn't expecting this? Adam Sandler has been pretty much operating independently from Hollywood for years now, which has worked out just fine as audiences love Sandler. But perhaps it's time for Sandler to realize that audiences don't love his pals quite as much as he does. Finally, there was one bright spot at the box office this weekend, and that's comedian Kevin Hart. Struggling in Hollywood for almost a decade, Hart's luck has been changing lately, with regular stints on Chelsea Lately, hosting the BET Awards, and millions of views right here on YouTube. Well, things got even better this weekend when the film version of his stand-up tour, Laugh at My Pain, hit theaters, and almost cracked the top 10. But considering the film only opened in 97 theaters and gave movies playing in over 1,000 theaters a run for their money, expect to be seeing a lot more of Hart very soon. As for this weekend, 4 movies hit theaters, jockeying to dominate a box office that looks wide open. Drive and The Lion King 3D are expected to compete for the top spot, while Straw Dogs and I Don't Know How She Does It aren't expected to do much. And that's the weekend box office roundup. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math. As always, thanks for watching.